I'm Jordan, and I'm here with Run Coach Lindsay, and today we're going to be talking about post-injury workouts. So
Hmm.
it's obviously never fun when you get hurt and have that injury, but now you've taken some time off, healed, recovery, whether depending on the injuries, what you've got to do. So now, what do you do for your first workout?
Yeah, I think it's super important to keep in mind that there's probably been some lost fitness. So I really like to stick with workouts that are time based versus like mileage based or rep based. I think it's helpful if you have something that's just a little bit more free to feel it out because it can be hard coming back from an injury, like mentally, to feel like you can, one, like tackle a workout or even just do it to start with. But also just with that mindset of knowing like I've probably lost some fitness. I'm not going to be hitting the times that I was hitting before the injury. So sometimes just a time-based workout is so much easier for that.
I know for me too, just trusting that I'm not going to get hurt again too
Mm-hmm.
is one of those things. So, so what is an example of a workout you would prescribe to an athlete when they come off, say, an injury or a mild strain or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, for example, I had some minor injuries running, and one of my favorite ones to do post injury was just a fartlek. So,
Mm-hmm.
depending on where the fitness level is, and obviously like how intense the injury is, if you're coming off of a surgery or something, it's going to look a little different than if it was just a little tweaked muscle. But
Mm-hmm.
that fartlek, that's the really nice thing is it can look so different. So one of my favorite ones is a 3 on 2 off fartlek. So obviously if you're coming off of like a surgery or a trauma injury, um, that 3 minutes may mean jogging for 3 minutes and walking for 2 minutes. If you're coming off of more of just a tweak or a minor injury, that may mean the harder running for 3 minutes and then the easier recovery jogging for 2 minutes.
How fast would you go on the 3 on? Say it's a minor injury, would you go all the way down to like race pace, or how fast would you go?
Yeah, anywhere from tempo to race pace. So it just kind of, if you, I would say race pace for 5K would be
Mm-hmm.
the race pace we'd be looking at. It sort of just depends on like how your body's responding. So I think what's really important is to listen to the body because, as you mentioned, like it's kind of scary when you're coming off of an injury to like have that mindset of, okay, I can do something hard. I'm not going to get injured again if I do this the right way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, generally not really faster than race pace because it is a sustained effort. So we don't want to like totally dig deep into that hole and just like hammer out a workout right away.
If before they even do their first workout, would you recommend at least doing like strides after a recovery run or stuff? Because hopefully you should, if you're coming off an injury, you should have a couple of weeks of solid running
Mm-hmm.
before a workout. Do you recommend doing strides before that first workout to just kind of test your body out?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing a workout. Again, varying on the severity of the injury, like 2 to 4 weeks is
Mm-hmm.
probably the amount of just like regular, comfortable, healthy running that you want to have before even like attempting to look at a workout option. I know sometimes that's hard if you're close to a race or
Mm-hmm.
like, for younger athletes being in season versus out of season. Like, I know that's hard, but you definitely want like at least 2 solid weeks of running in before you're like trying to do something hard. But strides are always great. I mean, year round, like strides should be part of the everyday training. And, especially coming back from an injury, that can be a really nice way just to like reopen that gait cycle, reintroduce speed to the body before like going into an intense
Yeah.
workout.
Yeah. So we mentioned fartlek. Are there other workouts that you think are good options for
Mhm.
people to try?
Yeah, I know this is one of your favorites. So progression runs. Progression runs are great because again, it's one of those workouts where you're just sort of feeling it out. There's not like a specific thing that you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like progressing regularly, and that way, again, you're not like trying to kill yourself with this really hard, intense workout, but you're just letting yourself progress and kind of testing your limits a little bit, and then obviously if something starts to feel off or like you're sort of out of your good zone of heart rate and effort, like you can just back it down a little bit, and so that's really nice.
The reason I like doing progression runs, especially the first workout back for an athlete, is it's not intimidating because I
Mm-hmm.
present it like, hey, this is the first time we're going to see how you're doing. So just go for start at recovery run pace. If you're feeling good, just keep building into it
Mm-hmm.
and see what you get down to. Don't get faster than tempo paces normally.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so they're it takes the pressure off the athlete of like I got to hit something, I got to do that. So if they feel good, then they can go. If not, I'm like, oh, I didn't feel really good today. Okay, that's fine. We'll get back after it, or do the same thing on the long run. Hey, if you're
Yeah.
feeling good, the last 4 miles of the long run, you can pick it up a little bit,
Hmm.
and that way it's not intimidating. They kind of almost that mental gymnastics don't even feel like they're doing a workout or the pressure of a workout. Of sometimes you're
Hmm.
like, oh, I got to work out on my sheet. Like, you think about it all day, and you're like, oh, this
Yeah.
is gonna be so hard. This is gonna be so hard to kind of take that off for the first workout.
Yeah, I really like with progression runs, like you mentioned, like encouraging them to only get to tempo pace.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's say it's a 4 or 5 mile progression, like to them that starting at recovery run pace, that's so much less intimidating than saying like, hey, we're going to do a mile and a half warm up, we're going to do a 3 or 4 mile tempo and a mile and a half cool down. Like
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, maybe it's a similar distance and like even a similar effort,
Yeah.
but it just looks so different and it's a lot less intimidating.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, what you said is the perfect is the intimidation factor is why I like it. It's always why it's the first workout I do, even when people take a break,
mm-hmm.
during their off season get started. It's always the first one, so they kind of feel where you're at and kind of get a gauge of how they're feeling and stuff. So that's why I like it.
Yeah.
What are other things that other workout ideas to keep them in control? I know some people get pretty excited, like, oh yes, I finally get to go to workout, but stay under control to stay healthy so you can get back on a healthy track.
Yeah, I mean, heart rate's always a great tool to use if available. Obviously, like smartwatches and stuff now, there's so
Mm-hmm.
many resources, at our fingertips or at our wrist, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, heart rate can really be a helpful gauge, especially coming off of an injury. It's really normal for the heart rate to be elevated when you start running again, and it's just the body responding to this intensity that it has now become less used to. So knowing that okay, my heart rate is at 180, like I really probably at my max right now and I need to chill out. That can be really helpful because regardless of how you're physically feeling, like your heart is trying to tell you your body isn't ready for that
Yeah.
effort. So that can be helpful. Of course, heart rate's still arbitrary. Like, okay, I had Chinese for lunch, like my heart rate's going to be a little higher, but
Yeah.
it can just be a helpful tool. I would say, obviously, listening to your body, like if things are hurting, back it down a little bit. What
And
would you say?
well, I was going to say in that workout too, you should be a little sore and tired your
Mm-hmm.
first workout. But I think one of the things to listen to your body is the pain getting worse or staying the same?
Mm-hmm.
If it's getting worse, we need to shut it down. If okay, I'm a little sore, it's a little tight, it's not getting any worse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's just stay right here. Then I'm okay. It's when you feel that pain increase that you're like, okay, we may need to be careful
Yeah.
here.
I would say like an ache or just some tightness, general soreness is totally normal. It's going to feel a little foreign to the body at that point. But yeah, when pain is associated, I think that's always like your red flag. Okay, this is more like, especially if it's changing the gait cycle. So
Mm-hmm.
like if it's become a point where you're like,
Yeah.
my stride is off, I'm starting to get other things that are hurting. I did a gait analysis for a woman the other day, and she had bilateral stress fractures because she was compensating for the first
Mm-hmm.
one and then caused the second one. And so I think it's just important to like understand when your gait is changing, especially coming back from an injury. If your gait isn't fluid, like you're probably not ready for a workout.
Yeah, yeah. You should start feeling smooth, and just even the mental side of coming back from an injury. A lot of times you're gonna mentally be like, does it hurt there? Does it not
Yeah.
hurt there? So it's kind of like that gauge of give it some time, work into it, see how it's feeling. If it's feeling better, loosen it up. Awesome. If it's staying about the same, okay, let's see where we're at, type of thing.
Yeah, I think one of the really funny things that people, talking about stress fractures, like especially with stress fractures that they may experience is sort of like phantom pain.
Mm-hmm.
So you might experience pain, especially like with weather changes and
Yeah.
stuff, which is so strange, but um, that can last like your whole life after a
Yep.
stress fracture. So it's really interesting, and it's something that people that have a stress fracture should be aware of. Like it is normal to
Feel it.
feel
Yeah.
that ache. It's usually an ache for like a very long time
Yeah.
afterwards, and yeah, like weather changes or barometric pressure changes,
Mm-hmm.
especially, like it's gonna hurt, and it's just really odd. But it's something that shouldn't scare them or let them think that they aren't capable of like jumping back into their
It's better
running.
for runners to know about it ahead of time and be on the front end. I know, have that conversation as far as, okay, you're going to feel a little bit
Mm-hmm.
like you're not going to feel 100% perfectly, but you didn't before you were hurt
Yeah,
either, so that's normal.
yeah, that's
But
true.
you think about it way more when you're coming back off an injury. So
Yeah,
it's a little mental barrier of like, is this a hurt? Is this an injury? Or is
yeah.
it just natural running, pushing my body to get more fit?
Yeah,
So,
especially like workouts are going to be higher
mm-hmm.
impact. And so sometimes those injuries can just ache a little bit after a workout
Awesome.
for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking time today to talk about getting the first workout in after your post injury. And
Yeah, it's
yeah,
fun.
thank you, Run Coach Lindsay. And make sure to like and subscribe or reach out with any questions for us, and we'd be happy to help.
Yeah, happy running.